cannot say what's wrong or right. No. It's not hard to fool me. No. 'Cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah. Lead the way. I follow. No need to say. No. Where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. To the edge of it. In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right. No. It's not hard to fool me. No. 'Cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah. Lead the way. I follow. No need to say. No. Where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. To the edge of it. In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right. No. It's not hard to fool me. No. 'Cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah. Lead the way. I follow. No need to say. No. Where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. To the edge of it.
Hey guys, what's up? Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Waiting Table Podcast, where we have roundtable discussions about the hottest topics in weight loss, and of course, with the coolest people from the bariatric community. I'm Rob, waiting in vain. This is Murph, aka Murph's Losing It. Grab a chair, wind down from your very busy day, and take a seat at the table. Murph, how's it going, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great. We hopefully we got these technical difficulties under control and we are good to go.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you gotta bring it back to your roots, and our roots were our first episode where a lot didn't go right, so it's all right.
I'm surprised we've gotten 4 other episodes under our belt without something like that happening. We were on a lucky
That's
streak
it.
there for a minute, but all good streaks come to an end sometimes.
Hey, you know what? Hey, it's a bit of a celebration day, and we can celebrate where we came from too, right? We're celebrating
Absolutely.
our first episode and the technological difficulties, but we're also celebrating the long haul today. So tomorrow is my 2-year RNY Surgeversary, and thank you.
Yay.
Yeah, and we had talked about it, and we thought, what better way to celebrate this milestone for me
Mhm.
than to talk with other members of the bariatric community who have lived this amazing life that we are trying to aspire to live, and they've done this for the long haul. And so we all know who, people who are in the bariatric community or have had bariatric surgery. We know that studies show that a large percentage of the bariatric community may regress and in some cases even gain much of their weight back over time. And we think it's very important to be able to understand what it takes to sort of keep going. We all slip and we all need to be kind to ourselves about that. But what is it that'll keep us moving and aspire to get to that life that we want to live? So
Exactly.
joining us tonight is a waiting table's day one supporter, which is amazing. And I love the fact that we can have Marye Tree Hugger 66 Runnels, who has enjoyed 10 years of the post-bariatric lifestyle, and again, celebrating over 150 pounds lost and living her best active life. So welcome,
Thanks for having me.
Marye.
Welcome to the show, Marye.
Glad to be here.
It's good to have you.
And so one thing when I look at your story, when I look at where you've come from and look where you are now, one thing that was really important for me to highlight was the fact that for any newer viewers, anyone who's newer to this bariatric lifestyle, newer to weight loss surgery, Marye, this is what the goal is. You are what the goal is, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of times we are in the mindset of, hey, I'm having weight loss surgery. I need to lose weight. My goal is 100 pounds. My goal is 150 pounds. My goal is 200 pounds. What your goal should be is that long-term lifestyle. This is what we should aspire to, right? We're not making these changes for a number on a scale. We're making these changes for a life that we can get back, right? And so I was super, super happy to have you on the show, and I was super happy to be able to, for me, share this celebration with you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm honored to get to celebrate with you too, because you and I have our dates are close together. I mean, a few years apart, but close together.
For sure.
I'm coming up on 10 years next month. So
nice.
I remember my first meal, not solid meal, but my first pureed meal was for Thanksgiving. I was so excited to puree some turkey and some dressing.
I have a picture of my Thanksgiving meal too, my very first one. It was actually during COVID, and so we had gone to my brother's and we were sitting in a garage eating so we can sort of space out from each other. And I remember looking at that plate and being like, this is not my Thanksgiving plate that I remember. Thanksgiving has always been, we always play, the campfire games or the long driving games, and it's always like, what is your go-to meal, your deserted island meal? And I would always cheat and say, if I can only have one meal for the rest of my life, it'd be my Thanksgiving meal. And so I always looked at that picture and that meal. I'm like, oh, I don't know this meal. So I'm happy that I can celebrate and enjoy that actually this time around. So for sure.
Yeah. So Marye, you're going to be celebrating your 10-year anniversary here soon. Surgeversary, I'm sorry. Other than that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey? How did you get to where you were almost 10 years ago? What brought you to that place of bariatric surgery? And just give us a little background on you for those of us that don't follow. And shame on you for not following Marye. You got to get on this.
Well, I was not an overweight child. I didn't have a weight issue probably until college. When I went off, I did the freshman 15 and the sophomore 15 and the junior 15 and the senior. And I had put on a good amount of weight. I was able to lose weight. I went to some crazy diet place and lost some weight and put it back on and put more on and would lose, go to Weight Watchers and lose the weight and then put more back on. And then after kids, I just kept putting it on and kept putting it on. And I was, I'm not even sure what I was at my highest point because I wouldn't even get on the scale. But I was a little over 300 pounds when I finally figured out what I was going to do, which was the vertical gastric sleeve. I had looked into the bypass, I had looked into the lap band, and I chose the sleeve because a friend of mine had done all the research, and she went and had it done, and she was losing weight and was doing great. And I was like, well, then that's the one I want. So I went to the same doctor she went to, and not too far from here, about a couple hours drive, and went through all the classes, did all the nutrition, had the evaluation, and I remember the doctor saying, it's not just losing the weight, it's keeping the weight off. And what are you going to do to keep the weight off? And I thought, well, don't I just need to lose it? I didn't
Right.
know, but then I'm thinking, well, I've lost weight before. I've been able to do that. I've never been able to keep it off. And so, I mean, I think I concocted something to say to him that sounded good, but I didn't really know what I was going to do. I really had no idea. I was like, well, I'm just gonna wing it. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm not putting the weight back on. And honestly, over the course of the 10 years, I lost down probably about 130 pounds, and I might put like 5 or 10 on, and then I'd be like, okay, I got to get this off, and I'd kind of get back. But I wasn't really always doing what I needed to do when I would we'll call it slip or whatever. But then when COVID hit, my husband and I own a restaurant, and we became so engrossed in keeping that restaurant open that I didn't do anything. I quit exercising. I didn't even pay attention to what I was eating. I didn't keep up with a food journal, and I found myself inching toward 200 pounds when I guess it kind of hit me, and I was like, oh crap, I'm going to put this back on. This is not going to work. And a friend of mine helped me. She was going through training to be a fitness and wellness coach, and needed somebody to do like a case study with, and I volunteered, and she kind of helped me set some small goals, and I started working last July again on those goals, and I wanted to get back in that pair of jeans that I had that were my favorite jeans, which I can't wear anymore because they're too big.
Nice.
Because I lost 50 pounds, and which was more than I was only wanting to get 30 off, and but I started doing some things that I should have been doing a long time ago, and it was honestly it wasn't. I mean, because I'd do the walking, the cardio, and I did yoga, and I loved that, and I didn't. I kept up with my food in a food journal. For me, I have to do that. I have to like look at what I'm eating, and put it like in writing, either in an app or on paper. And I had gotten away from all that, so I started doing all of that again. But I started weightlifting, which I didn't. I mean, I was like, well, I can't lift weights, I'm an old woman, and I mean, like the weight, it just started. I didn't even realize it was happening. It just started dropping off, and I started toning up, and I was like, oh, well, I like this better than. And so I actually just today hired a bariatric dietitian to help me to make sure that I'm getting all the right protein that I need to get, so that I can stay on that course, because I like where I'm at, and I don't want to go back up that 20 pounds. I want to keep this off. I've met with a plastic surgeon to talk about skin removal, and I mean, I'm getting really excited again. I guess and that's why I've gotten into trying to find support online, and that's how I found y'all. I saw some videos. I saw Murph's video, and I was like, okay, well, this guy's cool. Let me check him out.
Well, thank you. I know, and you did we tried to make the cartwheel challenge a thing.
Yeah, that's
when we started talking. I did a cartwheel for the first time, and I don't know, 10, 15 years. And Marye was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a cartwheel too. And she did, and she sent me the video, and it was really cool to have been a part of this process, you know, with you regaining this confidence in your surgery that you had almost 10 years ago. Now you're building that back up again, and now you're hitting the weights. I know we've talked a lot about yoga. How long have you been doing yoga?
Probably 12, 13 years.
Okay.
I was doing yoga before I lost the weight, and in fact, when I went out to have my surgery, and I came back, and I was out for a while. One of the yoga instructors walked up to me and introduced herself and said, "I'm so glad to have you in our class tonight. My name is."
Yeah.
I said, "It's me," and she said, "No," because I looked like you. Like, I looked so different. I looked like a completely different person.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
We have some really good questions based on sort of the things that you were mentioning earlier in regards to your diet and changing things up, going to a dietitian. And I loved hearing your story because a lot of it sort of resonates with me. But let's get to those questions first. So Brandy had asked, do you track your food still, as in logging it? And Anne had followed that up with, do you still feel sort of restriction? I guess I believe that you're referring to diet, Anne. Do you still feel your restriction?
I do log my food. I have to do that for me. I have to see it. I don't count calories. I do look at macros. I'm really, really I'm trying to get 150 grams of protein a day. So I do have to keep up with that. I honestly feel like I eat all day. I don't feel restricted at all. I mean, I just had to eat something else to get over I think I got 160 grams today, but I was 10 under, and I was like, okay, I gotta eat something that's not too. So I mean, I feel like the minute I wake up, I'm eating food all day long, constantly. And no, I don't feel restricted at all. I don't do simple carbs. I don't do like white rice, white potatoes, white bread. But I do carbs. I do fat. I do protein. I do it all.
Yeah. And the good thing about it is, especially with your type of training, right? And this is true with any training. And this is sort of what really resonates with me in listening to your story is the need to adapt. And I think that as a bariatric person, that's part of the reason I struggled prior to my surgery to lose weight and maintain weight, is because I was never able to adapt, right? There are different things like an injury, for example, and as opposed to finding ways to necessarily make it happen and to still lose or maintain the weight or whatever the case might be, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to do the same thing I've usually had to do. And, with what you had talked about, with some of the challenges with COVID, for example, and with not watching your diet and things fluctuating, like you've been able to adjust things to keep going. And I think that's the big struggle with people, right? There's always going to be that call, I think, for us to go back to what we've known for 30, 40, 50 years, right? That's what we know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's how do we consciously make those decisions to adapt, to keep going in the direction we want to. So that's just amazing that you're able to do that.
How do you track your meals, Marye?
Well, I use MyFitnessPal, just the free app.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I tried a couple of other ones, and that one was just easier for me.
Okay.
If my dietitian, I think she might have me doing something different from looking at the work that she's sent over to me, but that's what I've been using.
Nice.
It's a good one.
I ask because I was a part of a chat last night, and they were talking about just having like a notebook out and just writing down what you're consuming, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks. You don't have to necessarily count the calories or you know what I mean, but just being aware. Is that why you are continuing to track your food? What does that do for you exactly?
Well,
10 years out.
started back, that's what I did. I did keep it in a notebook.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't counting calories, and I'm really not now counting calories. I'm not paying that much attention to it.
Yeah.
It's for me to visibly see, because you know how easy it is to go, well, wow, I haven't eaten all day, and actually I have. So it's just habit for me when I don't eat out much, but if I'm at a restaurant, when I order the food, I just put it in.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I prepare my food the night before, or I do it on Sunday, and I'll even go in ahead of time and I'll put, well, I've got tuna salad for lunch on Tuesday, and I just go ahead and enter it because I know I'm going to have it, and if I don't eat it, I'll delete it, or if I eat more than I said, I can just add to it, but it's just kind of it's a habit now. It doesn't feel like at first it was a little awkward getting back into doing it, but I think it's a good habit for me personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And Brandy, you had asked, do you fellas use FitnessPal also? I used my FitnessPal for my first 90 pounds prior to surgery. And it was just looking at portion control overall, right? I was just looking at my amount. And in terms of macros, I had an idea. I had a percentage of what I was going for. Now I don't use it actually at all. I have an idea of what I want with protein. Every once in a while, I will monitor for a few days just to have a snapshot. But my meals are very similar every single day. Breakfast is always the same. Everything's always the same. And the big thing that adjusts is if I have a lot of workouts, like sometimes I'll have days where I have 2 workouts, or I'll play a sport, then my calories will obviously have to be higher on those days because I'll have a post-workout meal or a recovery meal after every activity, right? Anne asked a great question to clarify. Mary, do you get full by smaller portions still?
I really do. I've never ever been able to eat a larger portion. I don't.
Yeah.
This friend of mine that had the surgery a year before me, I can remember her saying, well, I can eat a whole hamburger now. And I was like, with a bun and everything, you eat the whole, like, I can't even eat a whole patty.
How about you, Murph?
Yeah. So that's why, and I don't know if you can hear Rob. I've got a little bit of echo of myself and you. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay.
I hear your echo.
I hear your echo.
Oh. Well then.
No, it's not bothering me or anything. I'm just letting you know. I don't know how that is on your end. So yeah, I was really intrigued by this conversation that I was having on Barry Nation last night. They were, they got their struggle bus, and I don't mind plugging them. They're really awesome people. We're not competing. I mean, we are all here to support each other. So I was on Barry Nation last night, and we're talking about just writing it down because I need to do that. I think again, I'm getting to the point where I've gotten so lax and comfortable with what I'm eating that, like, I eat the same thing for breakfast or I eat the same thing for lunch. But then by the time dinner rolls around, for some reason I'm starving, and I eat dinner and then second dinner and then dessert and then third dinner or something, and it's like, why am I so hungry all the time? And so I really need to start keeping track. I don't know how many calories I'm taking in. I don't know how much protein I'm actually taking in. For a while there, I mean, I did use my FitnessPal for the first 120 pounds that I lost pre-op. I lost 120 pre. And then post-op, I probably stopped using my FitnessPal when I hit like another 100-ish. And I was like, I don't need this anymore. But I'm getting to the place now. I recently hit my 1-year Surgeversary, and I think I've just gotten too comfortable. And so that's why, I'm asking, what, do you guys find it important just to see it? How you guys feel about it? I think it's something I need to start doing. So,
well, one thing that we talk about in a lot of the different programs that we have or groups that we're in, that I'm in actually, is anytime it's a good practice every once in a while to sort of just take a week and monitor, write down everything you're eating, because having a snapshot or an idea of what you're bringing in overall is a great way to sort of monitor and assess where you are with your habits, right? Because the other thing is, then you can look at, am I more active than I was previously? Am I less active? What type of training am I doing, right? Mary's doing a lot more weight training. Your requirements now that you're doing weight training is different than your requirements if you're doing endurance training, right?
Right.
So having an idea, and again, this comes down to what we were saying, Mary, about your adaptability throughout everything. And it goes the same thing when you're looking at training, right? How are you able to adapt your diet as well as your training program based on what you're looking to do? So that's the big part, I think, for sure, being able to do that.
And I also believe in utilizing, like, I've got a trainer that's helping me with the weights. And like I said, I hired the dietitian because I think that's just something that for right now, I need that. I'm only going to probably, have her for about a month, the dietitian. Yeah. The trainer I was only going to use for 6 weeks, and it's been 6 months. But I really enjoyed having that structure. It's helped me.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. One thing I'm very curious about is on our last call, Dee had mentioned something near the end. And this was a question that you brought up, actually, Mary, on our question and answer session, in regards to sort of the way that you look at yourself over time. Does it change? Have you changed everything? And we had sort of gotten to a big discussion about mindset and sort of the challenges that we've had with body dysmorphia things. I know for me, and my post recently, earlier this week, talked about the fact that, when I was 380, if you told me I'd be 165, I'd be like, yes, I'd be completely happy with everything. Then I'm 165 and I'm like, okay, I'm not happy with the way I look. But if I put on 20 pounds, I'd be amazing. And then 20 pounds later, I'm like, well, I feel like I need this. Did you find throughout the 10 years and the different changes in your body during that time that you suffered from any challenges with body dysmorphia or the way that you look at yourself? And how did you overcome that?
I mean, I think it's kind of, it's come and gone and come back again. So when I was running around about 170 for the majority of the 9 years, I was pretty happy. And I didn't like my upper arms. I did want that removed, and I wouldn't have minded, having my tummy done. But I was okay. I mean, I knew I looked a lot better. I looked good in my clothes. I was comfortable. Having lost the extra 20 pounds and then toned up, and I mean, yeah. I can feel the muscle. I can, like, my shoulders, I can really see it.
Yeah, I've seen the videos.
Yeah, but then I see this. And then I focus on that, and I'm like, yeah. That's all I see is this, So I've kind of gone back into that slump, and I've talked a lot about it with my husband, and that's why I went and met with the plastic surgeon, because I think a lot of what I have right now is it's loose skin that's bothering me, and because I don't feel like I'm being rewarded for. Like, I want to see what I've done at the gym. But I wish I had hung on to a pair of pants from before. I do have a t-shirt. I have a 3X shirt. I wear a small now most of the time. I like oversized shirts, so I'll wear a medium or maybe a large. I think this one's a medium. And I like to lay it down on top of the 3X and go,
yeah.
But I need that reminder. I do occasionally need to go back and look. And I don't have a lot of pictures of me when I was overweight. Most of them are me standing behind my children.
Yeah.
Or behind my husband blocking. There's one picture I have that's on my Instagram where I'm like leaning up against a wall. I have on a white shirt and blue jeans. And I'd somehow gotten in a picture that I didn't know about. And I found it not long ago, and I looked at that, and I was like, that's me full on.
Yeah.
That's what I look like, and it's a good reminder that that's not what I look like anymore. When I look
Yeah.
in the mirror, that is not what I look like. And I have to do that. I have to remind myself. I don't know about, do you kind of feel the same way or?
Absolutely. I mean, I recently came across some pictures of full body shots of me because I did the same thing. I would hide behind my kids. Yeah, I've got 7 kids, and I just pile them up on top of each other, and you just see my head. Cut out all those chins for me, But like I went to my doctor's appointment, and they had a full body shot, and they printed it out for me, and it was in black and white, but still, they didn't recognize me when I walked in there.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize that picture. I don't see many body shot pictures. So then I started looking through some old pictures and found some, and I'm saving them. I'm going to put them out here and there, but definitely a thing, with body dysmorphia. I feel like something that's common in our community is like we've worked so hard to lose the weight, but we're still not happy with ourselves. Like we're always going to be able to find something, and it makes you think maybe that's just the nature of life. You know what I mean? We're such hard critics on ourselves, and we need to give ourselves a lot more grace and learn how to be happy with the results that we're seeing and the success that we're seeing. It could be worse. I could be wearing a 5X again. I took it out of my drawer today and just held it up, and my 6-year-old was walking by, and she looked at me, and she, like, what are you playing with a parachute for?
Yeah.
Just this giant, I'm covering the windows, but, and it's like, we got to put things in perspective, me just coming out of this, I'm only a year into this. Rob, you're 2 years into this. Marye, you being 10 years into this, I imagine it's easy to forget where you've come from, the more that time progresses, but you look back 10 years ago and you are most definitely not the same person that you were.
No.
And, and like I tell my kids too, if you don't like something about yourself, you don't like the way you are, do something about it. Strive to be the best version of you that you can be. And so I'm trying to lead by example, but at the same time, looking at those underarms and I'm like, oh, I got to do something about this. So I got to get into the gym and, stretch that skin back out with some muscle or something.
But I also think that like it's sort of how we're conditioned to think and focus on things, right? Like I think we're talking about being adaptable, and I think one of those things that we need to do regularly is be able to stop. And whether it's look at old clothes and compare with new clothes, or look at old pictures and compare to these pictures, I think we need to take the time and prioritize celebrating our achievements. Like these
Absolutely.
are big things that we've been able to do. And I know that it gets discussed. I know that it's always top of mind, especially when you meet people again that you haven't seen in a long time. And, you talk about it. But at the same time, I think for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're fighting this, right? You're the one who's feeling this way. It's not the other person. They see you as this amazing achievement, this amazing, like, oh, you're such an inspiration. I'm like, here I am being like, oh, I feel like I have, I don't feel happy because I have loose skin on my arms or my legs or whatever, right? But I think we need to learn how to celebrate ourselves, right? Because if you look at from a big picture point of view, sure, it sucks that I have loose skin on my arms or my legs or my back. But damn, look where I am now compared to back then, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a big part. And I think that comes down to, you talked about yoga, and we talked about previously on the last show, we talked about meditation, but it all comes down to mindset, right? Like we know how hard the physical part can be, but like how did that compare? Do you find over the 10 years to the changes you had to make with your mindset and the way you viewed everything?
And I think that is the hardest part, is the mindset. It's not, we've all lost the weight before.
Yeah.
But it's getting your mind, and I am glad to see that, like, there's a lot of fashion sorry, I'm trying to think. A lot of fashion people that I follow. And one of the things that I've noticed is it's not just this skinny, like certain type person that's the model anymore. Now they have different size models. And I feel like at least our children maybe are getting raised so that there's a little bit more open-mindedness to, there's not just this one body type, you have to look like this. But that's that's been pretty set in society for a long time. So it's really hard to like go, okay, it's okay to have loose skin. I earned this. I worked hard. This is my badge of honor, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get that in your head. Like I can say that and people can say it to me, but to internalize it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, I just said that almost exact same thing to my wife last night. I'm having a hard time getting used to my skin, but in my mind, I'm trying to tell myself these are my battle scars. These are, you know, it's loose skin, but it's a scar. It's something that, you know, I've been stretched, I've been morphed, I've been changed into something different, and this is the result. But mentally, you know, that's the hardest part of the game is the mindset, and being able to, like I said, you know, have a lot of grace for yourself and just be positive. You know, I know body positivity is a thing. It's big right now. A lot of people are all about body positivity, but especially if you've accomplished so much and you've lost so much weight, who cares what your skin looks like? Nobody's looking at you and judging or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Where you feel like everybody's looking at you, but
nobody cares.
Everybody's looking at them. Nobody cares.
Oh,
nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Notices.
And this doesn't change. Like, even if you get the skin removed, like I've gotten skin removed, I'm still sort of in that mindset. And then it's always something else that you're thinking. You're just like, well, you know, should I have been proud of everything and just kept the skin? Is it worth it? Or, you know, all these things. So it's always a matter of the way that you're looking at it and what you're able to prioritize in terms of giving importance, right? But it's something that we're all going through. And I don't think I think it gets easier, but I think it's always going to be there, right?
I think it's always there, and it's not always in the forefront, though. I mean,
right.
There's a lot of times that I don't even think about. There's a lot of times that when I'm at the gym, I do see the muscles.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at a video today that I was putting up, and I was like, man, I should smile more when I'm at the gym. But I was watching that muscle.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. You know.
You got your game face on.
Yeah. And I mean, so we need to pat ourselves on the back. We need to say, you know, I earned this. I've done a good job, and I deserve all the. You know, people come up to me and say, oh my gosh, I saw that where you lost 150 pounds. That's amazing. You look incredible. And I just need to say, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I earned that. I did.
I find that hard. Yeah.
That's very hard to do.
But you're 100% right.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever said like thank you when people say that to me, like at church or if I go back home and I see friends or something, I just like, I did. Yeah, it's a thing. I was just really big and I needed to do something with it. And I find myself justifying it
making excuses.
Making it like, I had no choice, you know.
Internally, don't make the excuse either. Internally say, that's right, you did. I did this.
I've been through some stuff, and look at me.
Hey,
now.
that's our goal. That's our goal for us three. Is the next time someone comes up to you, and I just missed my chance. So I was just at a regional sales meeting for work, and you know, a lot of the people I haven't seen in a while. And same thing, you know, the same conversation that we just talked about, and my answer was always like, yeah, you know, I did it for my kids, and you know, which is true. But come on, so the next time someone said, everyone on the line, Brandy and everyone, next time someone compliments you on the fact that you've lost X amount of weight, own that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good challenge for all of us to be able to do, because I know I struggle with it still. Like, am I proud of what I've done? 100%. But I find that I'm constantly, like you said, justifying things and sort of, not really just, yeah, sure, I did that, and that's
Yeah.
amazing, right?
Yeah. My back was really bad and I had to do it. That's my go-to. I was just thinking like,
Yes.
what's my go-to? I had a bad back. I had to take care of this. No, I
Yeah.
didn't have a good relationship with food, and now I do. I did, I wasn't taking care of myself, and now I am, and I've earned it. So yeah, I'm just practicing. I'll do this later. Sorry.
This is good. I like that. Feel like
Mary, I
need
got
to
a
lie
question
down.
for you. Yeah, right. Mary, I have a question. You said earlier you and your husband own a restaurant.
Yes.
What type of food are you cooking, and what time is dinner?
And can we come? Yes, exactly.
But tell us about that. Tell us about your life. Having bariatric surgery and then living in a restaurant environment.
Well, we didn't own the restaurant 10 years ago. So my husband's always been in the restaurant business, and which made it really easy for me to gain weight because he can cook. The first time our first official date, which was the night he proposed to me, he made a dish, and it was incredible. And I remember going, "Oh my gosh, what is this sauce?" And I heard him say, "Well, I rendered a pound of butter or something." I was like, "Huh? A pound of butter?" I didn't hear anything he said after that. I was like, "What?"
And then you said yes. You then
Yeah.
put the ring here. Yeah. Okay. Pound of butter.
But we ended up buying a restaurant. It was one that was owned locally by some friends of ours, and we bought it several years before COVID, and it was called Southmouth Deli, and we loved it, but it boiled down to just trying to keep it staffed after we went through all of that with COVID. So we shut it down about a year ago, and we've bought an RV now. So
all right.
Ooh, that's the life.
Nice.
That's the life.
So I may show up in Canada. You don't know.
With a pound of butter sauce. I will eat it and get dumping syndrome, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Totally worth it. Totally.
It made you say yes. It might make me say yes.
Yeah, you never know. You got to come through Michigan to get to Canada. Don't forget.
Exactly.
Stop by here first.
Michigan.
Murph, I won't leave you out, man.
And I'll try to save you some of that butter sauce, Rob.
Yeah, we'll just meet in Michigan.
There you
I
go.
will have butter in Michigan.
There you go.
Mary, you've mentioned your husband a couple times here, and our second show, we had our wives, and we talked about the support system that we have had over the past year for Murph and 2 years for me, and prior to that, 10 years in, what can you tell me about your support system for your story, but how that has had to change maybe over the time based on what your needs were, what you were going through?
Well, we definitely had an adjustment for sure. And I had mentioned this before. Right after the surgery, like if we went out to eat or we did something and we would each order, and of course I could only eat this little small amount, then my husband would eat his food and then he'd eat my food. And then he started. So we had to kind of figure out a system. So if we go out to eat, we now order one thing and 2 salads.
Yeah.
But it's taken some adjustment, and he doesn't have a weight problem. I mean, he's normal, whatever that is. But he's always been. I mean, he's loved me regardless of me being 150 pounds and me being 305 pounds. He's loved me through it all. He's supported me in whatever I've wanted to do. He supports me in wanting to get skin removal. And we're trying to figure out a way to do that, not having a steady income like a restaurant now, it might take a little bit longer, but he's been a wonderful support. He really has. And I remember listening to your story and you talking about how your wives, both of you, your wives were kind of picking up doing things that y'all couldn't do. And I was trying to think about that myself. Sorry. I was trying to think about how did he do that for me, and I remember I would get out there and I was like, I'm going to mow the yard. I can mow the yard. I can, it doesn't matter how much I weigh. I'm going to do this. And I was bound and determined to prove that I could do all of those things around the house. But I think he picked up a lot more than I realized when I really started thinking about it. And especially, there was one picture I was looking at when we were on a trip in Nashville, and we're both sitting down, and I'm just like collapsed back I was exhausted from us walking around all day. And he didn't act annoyed or, that I was out of breath or whatever. He was kind and generous, of course, but I realized when I started looking back and thinking about those things that he really did pick up a lot of extra slack that I didn't realize he had done until I heard your wives talking. It kind of makes you feel, I don't know, like, I guess he did a good job of not making me feel guilty, but now I kind of went.
Yeah.
Well, it's that full circle thing, right? Like I agree, hearing you talk about that, it brings me back to, and for me, it's this very specific time when it was a snowstorm, and we get some big snowstorms up here in Canada, and it was like, okay, time to shovel. And I could not shovel. My back was just dead. And my wife was like, don't worry, I'll do it. And it was just like, you look back now, back then, it was like, okay, that's great. I appreciate it. And, I know I couldn't do it. But now you look back at everything that, our loved ones, our friends and family have done to support us. And I'm just so appreciative of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, and it's always like, how can I be a better version of myself now to repay you for everything that you've done?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I love hearing that from you.
Yeah.
And now I get to be the one who says, hey, let's go to the gym.
Yes.
It's time to go work out. Come on.
Does he work out with you?
It's crazy how that happens.
We will go up there a lot together. We don't necessarily work out together because he's done in like 20 minutes. I'm like, dude, man, I got an hour and a half up here. I got things I got to do. He just goes and works. I'm like, no, I gotta work some more. So
that's still cool though. I mean, the support system, it sounds like it's always been there. He just sounds like a super nice guy. And I know you already volunteered him to do our Husbands of Bariatric Surgery show. So we've got his number, and we'll be in touch. Do we have time for one more question, Rob?
You go for another question. I have one after that, but go for it, buddy.
We might have the same question. Just curious, Marye, 10-year Surgeversary. Congratulations. That's really awesome. But what's next? What are your goals for the next 5 years, 10 years? What are you thinking besides turning your RV into a food truck and coming up to Michigan?
Butter food truck.
I don't know about that.
You need that income, you said. I mean, you got it right there in your driveway. So
there you go. Well, I mean, I think in that plan there is skin removal surgery. Also, I've kind of, and I don't know what the deal would be if I had skin removal, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind like maybe getting in a little, doing a little showing and
Oh,
yes,
I don't know,
very cool.
maybe.
Very cool.
It's a thought. I had thought about. I honestly had this goal that I was going to run a 5K, but I'm not as interested in running anymore as the weights. Oh, it's just so much more exciting than running.
Do you know how
That's cool.
exciting this is for me to hear? Because I love everything about weight training. And yeah, whatever. I love the endurance sports. It's been so much for me, but weight training has always been my baby. And so I love when people get into it and are excited about it. Oh, I love it.
I can't believe I'm getting into it at my age.
Yeah.
It's really kind of a younger man's game, not, but oh well, I don't care.
Who says?
Yeah.
That's right. Who says?
And if someone does say prove them wrong, you've already proved them wrong, right?
True. There you go.
True that.
All right. So my question is actually, I think it's a good way to segue from that. You had a goal pair of pants before, right?
Say that again.
You had a pair of you said you had like a goal pair of jeans, right?
Right.
My goal clothes was this right here. It was being able to wear a white shirt and jeans and pull it off and look good with it, right? Like be confident and not be like, okay, if I wear black every single day because it hides my rolls, right? But with white, I'm just like, okay, it will show all my contours, all my fat, everything. So that was my goal always, to be able to wear a light colored shirt like this and be comfortable with it. What is your goal for clothing now that you've surpassed your gold jeans?
Well, I had wanted to
Competition
be able
bikini.
to tuck clothes in, but I can do that now.
That's it. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Wow. How about here's my biggest fear is I don't wear sleeveless. So maybe that should be my goal. I'll wear sleeveless and be confident.
Yeah.
I like
I
that.
have one tank top. I wore to the gym. I was standing like this the whole time. I was terrified. So, yeah, that sounds like a good goal. Maybe.
Nice.
Yeah. It's
think
really
that's awesome.
nice. It's really nice. I mean, y'all don't wear yoga pants. It's nice to be able to wear yoga pants. I would never do that before. I wear yoga pants and
Rob
I
does.
tuck my shirts in.
Yeah, Rob.
Yeah. Okay. I get made fun of a lot because I used to make fun of my friends who were like skinny jeans and whatever, tighter clothes, but I made fun from a place of jealousy. So I made fun because I wanted to make fun of them, but there was also a place of jealousy. And so now I wear tight pants, and when I train, I'll wear tights. And yeah, I get made fun of a lot, but I can't say anything. I'm like, hey, I deserve it. That's all right.
They're
I've earned
bicycling
it.
pants.
Yeah.
They're bicycling pants. They're not yoga pants.
They're bike pants, right?
It's like, why are you wearing a Speedo when you're biking? I'm just like, oh, that's what we do.
You wear it on the outside of the pants, right?
It's the wind, right? You got to cut down on the
Aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Aerodynamics, exactly.
All
You got
in the name of science. Awesome. Well, Marye, thank you so much for joining us today. That was amazing. And for me, again, as someone who's celebrating my 2-year surgeversary, being able to see or get a glimpse of what it could be in another 8 more years, like you, and some of the things that you've had to do has been an amazing gift for me. So thank you very much for joining us to celebrate with me. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, and I wish you a ton of luck, and I look forward to seeing you with the food truck and the butter in a tank top. All the goals.
There you go. There you go. I just got to say real quick, you guys look fantastic. Good job. Accept that compliment now.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I've worked very hard.
We're doing it.
Awesome. And guys, if you want, you can also follow us at at the_waiting_table. Thank you very much for jumping on. I'm Rob at Waiting in Vain. This is Murph at Murphs_losing_it. And please follow Marye at tree_hugger_66. And again, thanks so much for joining us today on the Waiting Table podcast, where we're serving the weight loss community
1 pound at a time.
See you all next week.
Bye, guys.